Live from News 7 KWWL, we've got you covered. This is KWWL News at 6.
We are following breaking news here tonight at 6 o'clock. An Anamosa State Penitentiary nurse and correctional officer have been killed by an inmate. Good evening, everyone. I'm Abby Turpin.
And I'm Ron Steele. Thank you for joining us here tonight live at 6 o'clock. Yes, 2 staff members are dead. The Iowa Department of Corrections states that an inmate attacked a number of staff members and even some inmates in what is being described as a one-inmate rampage.
That's right. The Department of Corrections has confirmed at 10:15 this morning the attack happened in the prison's infirmary.
Well, tonight here live at 6, we do indeed have Team 7 coverage on our breaking news out of Anamosa.
KWWL's Vinnie Lowry is live at the Anamosa State Penitentiary, and Colin Dorsey is live in the studio with more on the history of correctional officer deaths and assaults in Iowa and at the prison.
So right now, let's send things live over to Vinnie Lowry. Vinnie is live for us tonight in Jones County. He's in Anamosa, right outside the Anamosa State Penitentiary. Vinnie.
Well, Ron and Abby, after speaking with some members of the community of Anamosa, it truly is a tragic day for those involved in the community. The attack happened this morning, as we've been told, in the infirmary, and that's where prisoners are sent for medical care. Several staff and inmates were attacked. Anamosa City Council member Rich Crump says there's been a positive working relationship between the city and penitentiary for as long as he can remember.
The city and the penitentiary have a great working relationship over the years because we have used some of their labor and we do provide some services to them. And so I think we've got a really great working relationship from that aspect. And it has been a big part of the community for a long, long time.
Crump says the city of Anamosa is tight-knit. When he first heard the news, he suspected it could have been someone he knew or a family member. We'll bring you further details as we begin to know more of what exactly happened. And Crump does remind Iowans that what everyone really needs right now is to give the community and the family members of Anamosa some sense of peace. Live in Anamosa, Vinnie Lowry, News 7 KWWL.
Vinnie, thank you very much. We'll speak more with Vinnie in just a moment. Meanwhile, Governor Kim Reynolds releasing a statement on the killing of the correctional employees, saying in part, today our state grieves the loss of 2 public servants who were attacked while on duty at the Anamosa State Penitentiary. My prayers and deepest condolences are with their families, friends, and colleagues as they begin to cope with this senseless tragedy. We will exhaust every available resource to deliver justice to those who committed this act and bring a sense of closure and peace to the victims' families. And the Governor also ordered flags to fly at half-staff today.
Meanwhile, the president of the union representing prison workers issued a statement today saying, in part, unfortunately, for 2 Iowans who had committed their lives to keeping our community safe, they won't be going home tonight. Danny Holman goes on to say, our prayers are with their families, co-workers, and loved ones during this time. We will do everything we can to honor their memory. Now, as the union president for ASME, Danny Holman has told me many times he has been highly critical of staffing issues at Iowa's prison facilities.
We'll get back to our Team 7 coverage of the Anamosa correctional officer deaths in just a moment, but we do want to check in on our weather as we take a live look outside. This view over Cedar Falls, and as you can see, a rainy day out there today. For the very latest, here's Storm Track 7 Chief Meteorologist Mark Schnackenberg.
A little break in the rain right now, but there's more on the way. As you look at Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar, an area of rain just to our south of Interstate 80, more widespread, and a couple of rumbles of thunder with some of that rain, and that continues to drift towards the north. You also see another area of rain just to the east of Iowa City. That is from Cedar to Jones County, and that continues to track toward the north, but the steadier and more heavy rain would be southwest of Washington, and that will continue to track in the northerly direction here through the evening hours. 50s right now on our temperatures, and as you can see, future tracks showing the showers lifting north across eastern Iowa, and those showers will continue as we head through the overnight hours, but dwindle down to nothing as we get towards lunchtime tomorrow. We'll see if there's any more rain in the forecast coming up in just a bit.
Mark, thank you very much. Back to you in a moment. Right now, let's go back to our coverage of today's tragedy, the deaths at the Anamosa State Penitentiary in Jones County, where a correctional officer and a prison nurse are dead, and several others have been injured in an inmate attack on them. Colin Dorsey joins us live right now in the studio. Colin, there have been I've reported on assault incidents in past years at Anamosa, but today's deaths, they are definitely unprecedented at the Anamosa prison, which really opened back in like 1875, many years ago.
Ron, that's right. Like you, I've talked plenty about assaults at the prison, but this is incredibly rare. There's only been 4 really since the late 1800s. And the penitentiary there in Anamosa has been part of the community since 1875, taking some 20 years to complete. However, in more than 100 years, I haven't been able to uncover anything like today. I can't say the same for Iowa's oldest prison, which is the Iowa State Penitentiary in Fort Madison, where a handful of correctional officer killings have happened. The last death due to violence was nearly 50 years ago when Captain Joseph Cruz was stabbed by an inmate at the Iowa State Penitentiary in 1972. 3 years earlier, in 1969, Officer Samuel Reed was stabbed there as well. Then we have to go back to 1940 when Officer Robert Hart was shot and killed in a prison break situation. The fourth then comes all the way back in 1882. Now, all of these, once again, were at the Iowa State Penitentiary in Fort Madison. And while the deaths of correction officers have been non-existent until today at the Anamosa State Penitentiary, they are no stranger to assaults. Just last month, 2 correction officers were assaulted. There was also an assault in December of 2020, and then again in July. And then back in 2018, there was a fight between 22 inmates as well, but that didn't result in any injuries to the staff. Ron?
Yeah, quite a bit of history there, Colin. Thank you so much. By the way, with 945 inmates today on record, the prison was 34 inmates over capacity when the attacks occurred today. It's obviously a developing story. We'll continue to keep you updated both online and on air as we learn more about what happened today in Anamosa. Information available anytime right now on our website, KWWL.com.
And now to another developing story with the discovery of human remains in a pond in a rural area near Dewitt. Now, police say the remains were found about 20 miles north of Davenport, where authorities have been looking into the disappearance of a 10-year-old girl missing since last summer. They have not identified the remains and declined to speculate during a news conference today on whether they could be those of Breasia Terrell.
Try our best to get the identification done as quickly and efficiently as possible. And so at this point, we're estimating, or at least hoping anyway, that'll be anywhere between a week to 2 weeks at best, because these things take time and we want to make sure that they are done correctly.
And authorities said that more information will be provided as the investigation continues.
You know, for those who spent time in Dubuque's Findlay Hospital over the past year during the pandemic, doctors, nurses, and staff taking a moment today to honor them and their experiences during the COVID pandemic. Let's go live in the studio right now to KWWL reporter Danny Miskell. Danny, you had the privilege of attending the ceremony today.
Ron, Findlay Hospital gathered to reflect on this past year's experience of working through the pandemic. The ceremony opened with short remarks, followed by a moment of silence for 52 seconds to honor the 52 patients who lost their battle with COVID-19. White flowers are on display as a front centerpiece to honor those who died this past year. The nurses and staff members also holding yellow flowers for those who made it through the virus. For everyone at Findlay, the most important part of their experience was caring for the patients. And in the words of the chaplain, Claudia Dorsch, they will never be forgotten.
We want those that have entrusted us with their care and their family members to know that we continue to think about them and we continue to keep them in our thoughts and prayers.
A total of 310 yellow flowers were in the ceremony, each one representing a patient brought to Findlay and then discharged. And I was able to speak with the nursing staff manager afterwards. She said many of the patients who were able to go home after their treatment expressed how much they missed being at Findlay Hospital because they developed such a strong bond while they were there with the nurses. And for the nurses, that was the most comforting thing for them to hear from the patients. Ron?
Yeah, Danny, thank you very much. What a ceremony there today. And by the way, Unity Point has been heavily involved in all of this. Now, St. Luke's Unity Point Cedar Rapids Hospital, as we told you, also held a memorial this week that we covered. Unity Point Allen Hospital in Waterloo also plans to do the same, and that will take place at Allen, Unity Point Allen in Waterloo this Thursday.
Well, in the last 24 hours, Iowa has seen about 500 new cases of COVID-19. More than 800 new recoveries also being added, bringing the total to nearly 329,000. 8 new deaths being reported, the state death toll at 5,683 people. Hospitalizations going up again, now at 185.
Let's take a look quickly at our county cases for tonight. 11 new cases in Blackhawk County over the past 24 hours. Dubuque had 20. Lynn County's dashboard shows 7 less than what we reported at this time yesterday. We'll try to figure that one out there. Johnson County, another 18 cases, new cases in the past 24 hours.
And right now, taking a look at our current vaccination numbers, the CDC shows more than 1.5 million doses of the vaccine have now been sent to Iowa. More than 324,000 Iowans have now received their first dose, and nearly 500,000 Iowans are now fully vaccinated.
Still to come here tonight, the debate renewed over one city's public safety department. That's coming up. Welcome back. You know, we've uncovered some very interesting developments in the Iowa legislature right now. After years of debate, the Cedar Falls Public Safety Department might actually be forced to split into separate departments for the fire department and the police department after all.
Yeah, KWWL's Taylor Vessel joins us live with more on how the state is stepping in.
Ron, Abby, so a new law would require that any city with a state university must have separate departments for police and fire. The city doesn't want to speculate just yet on what their next steps could be, but so far this bill has a lot of support at the Capitol.
It has divided the community significantly.
Can a police officer serve as a firefighter?
I don't believe that those professions, you can combine them and have the same level of expertise.
In Des Moines, state lawmakers could essentially end the controversial public safety officer program in Cedar Falls.
The city of Cedar Falls has had this conversation for well over a decade, and I think the citizens are capable of making that decision themselves.
With few no votes, many in the House concerned about the University of Northern Iowa.
The students of UNI and those parents did not have a vote.
The bill's passage was bipartisan, much to the satisfaction of Cedar Falls Councilman Dave Sayers, who sees the state protecting its own interests.
Dorms, we have all the big buildings up on the UNI campus and all these things, and those are a lot of them funded, of course, with state money.
There's also a call for legislators to gain a better understanding of the issue.
I would just request that we do a more thorough study on what the city is sharing and what is actually occurring within the city.
Now, in the bill's fiscal note, it says that ending the program could cost Cedar Falls $2 million. Now, it's not a guarantee, but of course, with any sort of budget increase, it is possible that that cost could be passed on to the taxpayers. Ron?
Yeah, Taylor, thanks very much. Very interesting developments in the legislature for sure. Now, just today, that bill was referred to the Iowa Senate State Government Committee. Until further action is taken, the mayor of Cedar Falls says it's business as usual.
Coming up, we continue to follow developments at the Anamosa State Penitentiary. We'll have the latest in a live report. And we are continuing to follow breaking news this evening as an Anamosa State Penitentiary nurse and correctional officer have both been killed by an inmate. The Iowa Department of Corrections issued a statement saying an inmate attacked multiple staff members and other inmates this morning.
With that in mind, let's go live once again back to Jones County and Anamosa with KWW reporter Vinnie Lowry. Vinnie, you're right outside the Anamosa State Penitentiary, and I can see behind you that the DCI has already arrived on the scene, the Division of Criminal Investigation. Kind of update us on what you know about the investigation right now.
Well, Ron and Abby, we've seen members come and go from that DCI mobile unit, but we'll tell you what we know as of right now, and we're still trying to figure out all the details for you. But as of right now, there's an ongoing joint investigation into the attack that happened this morning. Right now, what we do know from this morning is that the attack did happen. From this morning, the attack occurred, and then security staff restrained the inmate, and life-saving first aid on the nurse and correctional officer was performed until paramedics arrived. We don't know of the rest of those injured, but Governor Kim Reynolds today giving her condolences to those lives lost. She says resources will be used to bring those responsible to justice. The Union for the Employees of the prison mourned for the victims of the attack. We will bring you more information as soon as we get it. Live in Anamosa, Vinnie Lowry, News 7 KWWL.
Benny, thank you very much. Now, the names of the nurse and correctional officer are being withheld until further investigation.
Yeah, that's right, Abby. In fact, as of today, 945 inmates being overseen by about 320 to 350 staff there in Anamosa. We'll bring you updates on air and online as more information becomes available.
Well, now turning our attention back to the weather, we're going to take a look at some video. This is out of Cedar Rapids from earlier this afternoon, and you can see it right there, a rainy Tuesday out there. And now with the full forecast, here's Storm Track 7 Chief Meteorologist Mark Stackenberg.
Yesterday at this time, we were talking about between 6 and about 9 o'clock, a chance for some thunderstorms across our southern counties, and that is exactly what's going to be happening. Here we'll show you in a radar momentarily. As you can see, threat tracker, no risk of any severe weather. A few thunderstorms here this evening, otherwise scattered showers overnight and into the morning hours. Another breezy day on tap, and then a chance for a couple of showers in our southeastern counties here during the day on Thursday. Some light rain falling in around Cedar Rapids. At this hour, temperature right now running at 51 degrees. The wind out of the east at 14 miles per hour. Rainfall amounts about a quarter to a half inch of rain since midnight. Some more rain on the way. As mentioned, some thunderstorms south of Interstate 80 starting to drift on towards the north. Otherwise, a few spotty light showers farther to the north. So here's Washington, here's Williamsburg, here's Iowa City, Interstate 80 right here. We do have a line of pretty steady and some heavy rain. This will continue to track toward the north, and so as this does so, we'll get a quick quarter-inch of rain out of this, and maybe a rumble of thunder or two, maybe some gusty winds, and maybe even some small hail a possibility. Another area that's looking at some of this rain just north of Tipton, just south of Anamosa. This will continue to track toward the north. There's some of the rain around Cedar Rapids heading towards the Center Point area, and that'll continue to move northward as well. Temperatures at this hour are running in the lower to middle 50s across eastern Iowa, and the area of low pressure is going to continue to track northeast over us. So we've got a gusty wind here through the evening hours. As the low moves over us, the wind will lighten up overnight, and then the low will move to the north and east, and then we'll get a gusty west wind here during the day tomorrow. So you can see that area of low pressure move overhead right about during this time frame. A south wind will shift to the west, and then during the day tomorrow the wind increases once again, so another breezy day. So as for the rain that's expected, you'll see rain and isolated thunderstorm possible through maybe about 9 o'clock, but that would be about it. No severe weather expected. The showers will be winding down as we head through the morning hours here 7 o'clock, and then by lunchtime we will see the rain shut off and the clouds will linger through the rest of the day. Here's a look at your city-by-city forecast. Temperatures will be in the upper 40s to low 50s over the next couple of days. A couple of showers possible. Best chance on Thursday will be farther east and south you live. Farther north and west, probably more dry weather, and then some sunshine on Friday. Here's a look at your 10-day forecast, bringing some rain back in the picture here on Saturday. Sunday looks to be a nice day with sunshine. Another chance for a few showers on Tuesday, but otherwise highs over the next 10 days, mainly in the 50s.
Mark, thanks a lot. It is a Ben, but not our Ben, as Minnesota introduces its new head basketball coach.
And the Hawkeye women face Kentucky for a spot in the Sweet 16. Sports Director Rick Coleman joins us next.
Now, KWWL Sports.
For the second day in a row, an Iowa Hawkeye basketball team has a chance to make it to the Sweet 16 at the Big Dance. This time, it's the 5th-seeded Iowa Hawkeye women facing 4th-seeded Kentucky for a berth in the round of 16. The Hawkeyes and freshman, All-American Caitlin Clark coming out blazing. Clark is on fire. She nails this three-pointer to give the Hawkeyes a 7-0 lead. Caitlin Clark gets her teammates involved. This dish to Monica Sanano for the bucket down low. Iowa scores the first 11 points of the game. And the Hawkeyes keep their foot on the pedal. On the break, Caitlin Clark is going to bounce in another three ball. It was Caitlin Clark's show in the first half. Clark scores 24 points in the half, outscoring the Wildcats 24-22. Iowa leads 49-22 at halftime. Caitlin Clark finishes with a game-high 35 points as Iowa beats Kentucky 86-72. The Hawkeyes on the way to the Sweet 16. Iowa will face the winner of top seed UConn and Syracuse. That game tonight. The Iowa State Cyclone women beat Michigan State 79-75 in their first-round game on Monday. The 7th-seeded Iowa State Cyclones will look to reach the Sweet 16 when they face 2nd-seeded Texas A&M in the second round on Wednesday.
They get to the free throw line a ton. And then defensively, Gary's teams are always really good. They're very sound. They're very scout oriented. So, they're 24-2 for a reason. They're a team that a lot of people picked to win this whole thing. So we got our hands full, but I think our kids are really excited about the challenge.
Cyclones and Aggies tip it off 6 o'clock on Wednesday night. And today, the Minnesota Golden Gophers held its introductory press conference for new men's basketball coach Ben Johnson. Johnson comes to the Gophers from Xavier University, where he was an assistant coach. Johnson also spent 4 years as an assistant coach at the University of Northern Iowa under Ben Jacobson, where he was a part of that Sweet 16 run in 2010. Johnson is a former Minnesota basketball player, and he says he wants to restore Gopher success.
I think the state of Minnesota knows what, Gopher basketball is all about and the passion with Gopher basketball. And I think we're going to do our best. I know we're going to do our best to recruit the right student athletes that are here, that are going to handle their business on and off the floor, that are going to make everybody proud, and that are going to really honor wearing the maroon and gold.
And the Minnesota Athletic Director, Waterloo native and Waterloo Columbus graduate Mark Coyle made that big hire. And also, we know our Ben Jacobson from UNI was up for that job as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Rick.
All right, a final check of our forecast.
Showers expected overnight. Maybe an isolated thunderstorm south of Highway 20 here during the evening hours. As you see, the steadier rain now moved closer to Washington and Iowa City. This will be around here through the evening hours. A couple of showers early tomorrow morning.
That's it for 6 o'clock. Thanks so much for watching here. Please be careful out there. We'll see you back here tonight at 10.